Hello everyone, it's Chandra Free, co-founder, co-creator, creator at Machina Corpse. Mom says I could draw before I could walk. I've only known art my entire life. Me and my cousin would draw for fun. My cousin's name is Lindsay Sebos. She's also a fellow comics creator. Me and Lindsay would just create these comics together. We'd do our fan comics like Sonic the Hedgehog and Disney things, and I started doing this manga style. Of course, I went the anthropomorphic way, and my first personal comic was Brandy the Star Child, and she was a panda bear, and she had a koala bear, and there was a cat, and it was an epic sweeping story, and I did it from 5th grade to like high school. And I discovered a book, I Feel Sick, a story about a girl written by Jonan Vasquez. It was that first book that was like, that I really saw and like, I can do whatever I want. I was such a slave labor graphics girl. So The God Machine, a book that I started when I was in my senior year of high school, is a story about a young man named Guy Salvador who's going through a really difficult time. He's starting to see monsters and things, and his girlfriend just recently died, and he's questioning what's real and what's not. And the book features teen angst, gods, monsters, and humor, and it's all the things that I really enjoy doing. The God Machine was published by Archaea in late 2010. In my high school year, I started really getting into goth culture and changed my style from like this mousy nerd into this gothy nerd, and I started really getting into the dark side of life. The juxtaposition from light to dark, I really enjoyed that, like that twisted sense of humor. And so for Machina Corpse, something else that I was also really into was my publisher Archaea. They did arty books, so like I want to mirror this dark, spooky, and humorous aesthetic and mix it with an art aesthetic and really produce comics that have both of these qualities to them. This is where Machina Corpse comes in. I just want Machina Corpse to be the marriage of art and spooky. The first title that I'm doing for Machina Corpse is Lonely Bouquet. It's a slice of life comic. It's about a girl who's really lonely and depressed and having a tough time dating, but of course she just happens to murder her dates because she's a vampire. And I've populated the world with the supernatural, but in a very real life setting of Brooklyn, because it's just so artsy and so weird and unique. And I think like having these characters populate this world makes sense in my world. And it's the stuff I really like. And I've always enjoyed slice of life comics, stuff from like Gabriel Ba and Fabio Moon. And there's also like Adrian Tomine. I love these stories because they're so personal, and I want to create something very similar to that, but spoop it up. So we're doing a Kickstarter for Machina Corpse, 12 pages of Lonely Bouquet and 12 pages of 1983. We're doing this Kickstarter to print it and launch it into the world and get everybody excited about Machina Corpse. We're really looking forward to the experience and the hard work. So please support us on Kickstarter. It means a lot to us. Please go to Machina Corpse Unearthed on Kickstarter. Follow us at Machina Corpse on Instagram, Twitter, machinacorpse.com.
Hello everybody, I'm Stephen Emond. I'm a co-creator of Machina Corpse. I'll be doing a comic book and a graphic novel. I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. I remember going to my grandparents' house for weekends, and we'd go see a movie and I'd have to draw whatever was in the movie. During my middle school years, art was something that saved me. I was bullied a lot in school, and I would spend lunches by myself drawing, always with a sketchbook in hand, usually just little spiral-bound books, making up my own little comic books, drawing The Simpsons and Ninja Turtles and Mario. People would come over and see what I was drawing and ask me to draw things. For those brief moments, I was almost kind of popular in school. I got really into comic books, Marvel comics, Image comic books. That's what I thought I was going to do. That's what I wanted to do, was to be a comic book artist. In high school, my parents divorced. I moved in with my grandparents. I moved to a new town, and I started making more friends there. I started doing comic strips, like newspaper comics, and I got really into Calvin and Hobbes and Peanuts, and that's what I wanted to do for a few years. And in the early 2000s, I discovered indie comics, and I thought, this is totally what I should be doing. The personal storytelling was very expressive. And then I got into SLG. That's when I came up with Emo Boy, which was my first comic book. I pitched that to SLG. Dan there gave me a lot of great advice. I ended up doing about 12 issues. And as that was wrapping up, I met an editor at Little Brown Books for Young Readers and ended up doing young adult books. I did 3 books, Happy Face, Wintertown, and Bright Lights, Dark Nights, that were all very well reviewed. I've always wanted to get back into comics, and it's something I missed, and it's always been in the back of my head that at some point I'm going to do another comic book series. Chandra and I were discussing options, and Machina Corpse came up. The idea of doing a Kickstarter came up. There was a book that I really wanted to do. It was a horror novel. I knew there was an audience. There's goth teenagers, there's young adults that are into horror, but I wasn't able to get my horror book over with my editor and agent. This seemed like a great chance to take another stab at it. I love the genre of horror. It's fantastic. You can do very imaginative, crazy things in there. And if you can scare somebody, there was a YouTube artist named Yana Lee. She went by I Am I, Who Am I? And in the early 2000s, I saw some of her videos. They were very dark, very weird. And she would look right into the camera with this distorted lens. And it would just get stuck in my head. For weeks, I would go around listening to this music and thinking about these creepy images. And that's kind of one of the cool things about horror. If you could scare somebody and tell a good story and have good characters and good art and all that, with horror, we really let people in. The audience for horror is not afraid to let art in and let that art into their deepest selves and let it live there. That's why we love it so much. I feel like there's a chance to do something really fantastic here, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm hoping this Kickstarter proves fruitful and that we can fund these first comics and that we can go on to do more projects through here. Please back us on Kickstarter if you're interested in hearing these kinds of things. We have so many big plans, so many things that we want to do, but we need to start here. Find us on Machina Corpse Unearthed on Kickstarter and on all social media at Machina Corpse, or go to our website, machinacorpse.com.